Believe it or not, we're actually almost done with this game. Anyways, welcome back to Costume Quest. I am Jordan, I will be your host. Now, see, this game was originally released on the Xbox Live Arcade and was a PlayStation Network title as an indie game. Oh, well, actually not as an indie game, but just as a digital title by Double Fine. Now, what are we gonna do this episode? Well, first things first, we want to, of course, trick or treat around this area, and of course, we want to complete the vampire costume pattern, as well as get a new costume pattern, as well as get a pumpkin costume pattern complete finally. You don't say. Well, I mean, the Ferris wheel is broken, but then again, that's the only ride I see, the Ferris wheel. Unless there are more rides that I don't know more about, but like magic indeed. Anyways, all the way over there is another card quest, into which I don't have that card yet, but I'll get it eventually. Now see, this girl wants the unicorn pellets. Unfortunately, we don't have the unicorn pellets, but we do have the unicorn costume, but that's not good enough. No, it isn't. And look, found a kid hiding. I think it's a ghost. It's a ghost. Hard to believe that one kid's arm can break that entire wall down, like poof. Bam. God. I kind of have no idea how that can happen, but let's just try to guess around superhuman strength. I'll say this right now. There are no new types of enemies, but I will say the fact that I do want to at least show one battle. At least show at least a few battles before I decide to skip the rest of them, because this episode is roughly 24. The raw footage of this episode was roughly 24 minutes. Thanks to the battles that went on and on and on, aka and maybe this is why I wanted the battles, because of course one, the creepy treat cards, and two, experience points from candy. You can never have too much candy. Well, you can never have too much candy, but there is such a thing as eating too much candy. Because for one thing, sugar rush, and two, it's just not plain good to eat too much candy, because you will get sick. What more do I have to say about here? Well, nothing much, because this battle is pretty much done and it's boring. Boring battle, no new enemy types, no new nothing. But at least we got some value off of that. Namely, the experience points and some candy. As well as the creepy treat card, which I don't even know if I have. And look who it is. It's Dorian, the Scarecrow. Yes, by this point we should already know that Dorian was the one that was helping us from the beginning of the game until here. But now we have unlocked the pumpkin costume, which is pretty much well, fun. Big because it's a hint. Gosh dang it, Dorian. Why do you have to do that thing again? At least this is gone. that is pretty funny, because the kid's just right there in plain sight, and you wouldn't really know about it. It's like a trick of the game sets up for you. Like the kid's actually playing hide and seek, but you never really know, because you really don't see him hiding. You just see him hiding. You just see him there in plain sight. And you won't really know, because you don't really, because in this game you probably don't really want to talk to many NPCs. With the light and makeup we added, we now only have one pattern. We only have one material left before we actually complete the vampire costume. And what is that? Well, first we have the teeth. At least I think we had the teeth. Then we have the makeup, and now the only thing we have to deal with left is probably the cape, because you know, vampires love capes. Indeed. Statue of Liberty of Everett. Or Everett. I always get confused with that name. Well, then again, generally I get confused with names in general. But on the other hand, at least it'll kind of help. What am I saying? Helping a little. Well, now this is effectively now the jack-o'-lantern costume, we can now try to get in a fight with someone. And when luck know it, there's a fight right here. You know, I never understood how these fights actually take place in the actual real life in the game. I mean, think about it for a moment. All of these kids and the monsters always find the same location based on where they are. I mean, right here is Fall Valley, and I think I can see a hint of snow. But when I think about that for a moment, I wonder how they actually fight in actual real life. It's probably no different. At least there's probably no difference. Anyways, we're dealing with a new type of enemy also called the Assassin. It's just pretty much your straight out attacker like the other two they have to deal with. Oh man, those crest whalers. Yeah, whalers are just... Well, I still like to call them crows, because that's just basically what they are. They're basically crows. Anyways, this time for the Jack-o'-lantern special attack, which is All Hallows Eve, I think. And what it allows you to do is hit your target takes half damage. Oh, actually, I think everyone takes half damage. And by that, I mean the HP is cut in half, basically. What's the equivalent of that in Pokemon? Oh yeah, Super Fang. Think of it as a Super Fang type of move. It could be helpful against some bosses, I think, because you know, cut their HP in half, which isn't that. Sure, might not be that impressive at the start, but it's a nice way to get through some defensive buffs. But in this game, we're not really dealing with human enemies here. We're just dealing with, of course, the AI we're talking about here. And since we're dealing with the AI, it's not much different than dealing with a human player. And I mean, since this game is mostly a single player, then, well, I already know what I'm doing most of my time. And even then, there is no punishment for failing. Like, there is no punishment for failing at all. Well, for quest, yeah, but just like the quest, you can always just try again. Sure, you get some funny lines here and there, but well, now I actually think about it, failure is kind of an option in Grove of Nice first one, but let's not get too ahead of that one, because that is considered spoilers. Anyways, let's go ahead and get some more candy while we're at it, and trick or treat the rest off of this carnival, so that we don't have to remember. At least that we don't have to backtrack here whenever I miss a house. Oh look! Rawr! You know, I never really showed off on what the mages of the crest whalers do, so I'm just gonna go ahead and allow one of them to do a spell. And wouldn't you know it's gonna happen next turn because, well, I just got that lucky. And of course, poison damage. I love that poison damage. Yeah, I like how some feathers fell out, but now because of the fact that I'm letting go of a mystic. Of course, that means big trouble. Because now one of the enemies is because now the bruiser is buffed up. Though it doesn't leave much because of the fact, well, one, and he only can attack one enemy. And despite the much damage he'll deal, well, it's not really that impressive because of the fact that, well, considering that I'm the ninja, well then, ninja deals like so much damage thanks to it being an attack costume, as well as the attack points stacking up with the stamp that I'm using right now. And with that, You see that cave over here? You need the Space Warrior costume in order to get through there. And over there is we're just completing our vampire set. I was right. Vampires always need a cape. I don't know why they always need a cape. They probably just want to feel fancy. I mean, there probably hasn't been one famous vampire that hasn't even worn a cape. And I am not counting Twilight as those vampires, because they're totally different. Well, then again, vampires stereotypically usually have capes. And of course they're pretty much pale white because one of this is a characteristic of them that they are not allowed to go to the sun. But anyways, here's the vampire. The vampire, believe it or not, is actually an attack. This is an attack costume. But not as powerful as, let's say, the ninja. The ninja is still more powerful than the vampire will ever be. But the vampire does have a unique special. And it's probably so unique that it even surpasses the Statue of Liberty special. Just by a little, though. You know what that's what you ask? We will get through it next turn. It's gonna happen in a few. There was a bat in my hair is a special. Now what this special does is that you attack every single opponent, and now well, I don't know if you attack every single opponent, but you just basically attack an opponent, and your party heals up based on the HP that you stole from your opponent. It's very helpful because not only are you being offensive, but you're also being supportive. But then again, the ninja also does that by having a teammate for a full turn, which is very helpful. I don't know why Reynolds in the Statue of Liberty costume, but I'll gladly put him back in the ninja costume. And I still love this thing to death because not only is it helpful in battles, but it's also very helpful outside from the robot costume because, well, speedrunners just love to use a robot costume in order for you to get to point A to point B very fast. But other than that, let's go ahead and buy some battle stamps. What should I buy? What should I buy? Well, of course, I should buy the moldy pumpkin cuts. Is that what it is? Yeah, pumpkin guts. The moldy pumpkin guts for Everett. And now over here, I'm actually gonna show the costumes. Now, see, these actually show what your costumes can do and what kind of focus it does. At least what the costume does, and you actually be able to find out what they actually do. As you see, we only have 2 costume patterns left for us to get. At least 2 costumes to get. One of them we can get by collecting every single creepy treat card in this game, and the other is just there for show. Well, actually, we need that in order for us to complete the game, but it's not that useful besides that one point. Well, at least now I'll be able to show off the pumpkin guts. The moldy pumpkin guts. In which that reminds me, the pumpkin... Well, then again, every single fruit can get, you know, bleh, rotten. Yeah, very rotten. Anyways, like the original pumpkin guts, which allows us to do splash damage. But along that splash damage, if one of the enemies is hit by the splash damage and dead, then they are poisoned. But it's not as say even more poison than before. And I will say this: I do kind of love the poison because it deals little damage to every enemy each turn. Because sure, it might be a little slow, but at least I can deal damage over time, even to enemies that I'm not focusing my attacks on. 1, 2 deaths simultaneously. And yeah, those are the unicorn pellets over there. Okay, that was surprisingly fitting. Me just acting like the cow from Sesame Street. No wait, wrong thing. Wrong thing. Anyways, besides the Pathfire, we need to go ahead and trick-or-treat the rest off of this area so that we can actually proceed on to the boss of the area. Which I also mentioned at the beginning of the video. It's probably going to be... Which I also mentioned at the beginning of the video. We're actually almost done with this game in general. Oh man, why the fight an enemy? Well, I guess I do, but you don't have to stick around and see it. I'll gladly go ahead and skip it in like what? 3, 2, 2.5, 1, bam, skipped. Yeah, you can thank me later because the last thing we need to see is some unnecessary battles. But just be thankful I'm showing up my rewards that I actually get from battling these enemies. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know if I actually completed a battle or not. Anyways, with that aside, it's a Battlemania. Oh boy, I would really love to show these battles, but I think I already showed off enough of these battles for one episode. So I'm just gonna go ahead and skip the rest of these battles because they're boring. It's just the same mode, defeat every single enemy, same pattern that I usually do every time. But namely, I'm just battling these enemies for experience, candy, and of course, creepy treat cards in order for me to get a costume. If you actually play this game, if you actually play any other RPG, I know some of you will get tired of the random battle system. Okay, when you want to battle for something random. And I know most of you guys like to fight in these random battles in order for you to get some rewards, namely the experience points, and of course some money. You can never have too much money in an RPG game. But yeah, well, I'm required to trick-or-treat in order for me to actually proceed on forward. But at least I'm just, again, being thankful I'm skipping most of these battles, because if I don't skip them, then this episode will just drag on with unnecessary battles. We're done here, everybody. Let's go home. You gotta admit, you do love that line, because it just shows it just shows some impatience. And speaking of that, there's even more candy along the way. How many pieces? It looks about a lot. Yeah, a lot. A bunch of pieces of candy and a coffin. Let's go ahead and complete this quest over here. Anyways, I've also forgot to mention that once you get your patterns back, you can actually go ahead and there'll be monsters around this area. Oh, actually, I think it's after the wheel. And look, my worst nightmare, which is easily completed in like what? I mean, seriously, none of my teammates were burned, and the only thing they really did was buff each other up to like no end. But either way, it was really easy due to the fact that how easy it was able to take care of. The usefulness of the ninja costume. And I do know there's only one kid left to find, and I'm trying to find that kid. Once you speak to the devil, he is right there. Ah, legs. Frog legs. Ah, a bat bucket. I'm sure Batman likes that idea, but I know Dracula is not pleased with that because of the fact. Well, let's just say the bat bucket just makes Dracula, well, you know, he finds it offensive. And well, I can't believe no one really. I'm not even gonna say that joke, but speaking of Dracula, it just reminds me of the Girl Adventures of Billy and Mandy Dracula, where he's like, Dracula, no fool! You are stupid, and look. And for that, we now have the cat costume. Slice. Yeah, that's funny. It is very funny. But now because of this, we're pretty much done with this episode, so next time on Costume Quest, we are actually going to go ahead and complete the game, so I'll see you guys next time after I do the little cat dance. Well, actually, I'm not actually going to complete the game, but there'll be 2 episodes then. But anyways, I'll see you guys then.